Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back. Now this video is a bit of a response to a video I've seen myself by another creator who I watch on YouTube. There's only a small channel. You might not be aware of him, but he's a good lad, so go check him out. I'll leave a link in the description. It's channel's called Voorhees Retro 81. There's lots of interesting videos, but he's recently done a top 10 Megadrive video in 2 separate parts, and it just kind of inspired me to do one of my own, really. So it's kind of a response to this previous video. Like I said, I'm going to do all mine in one, so it'll be my top 10 Megadrive games. Now these ain't necessarily the best Megadrive games ever made. I'm not by no means am I saying these are the 10 best Megadrive games. These are my 10 most favourite Megadrive games for varying reasons. Mainly, you know, they're what I enjoyed back in the day, and I had loads of fun with them, and they've remained special to me to this day. So that's primarily why they're in my favourite top 10. So without further ado, let's crack on. And I will also say that on a different day these could be in different positions, and there could also be different games within the list, and some of these might drop out. You know, it's just a bit of fun, and it might change, you know, like I say, in a week, in a month, whatever. It's just a bit of fun, but at the moment these are my most favourite 10 Megadrive games. First of all, we've got Dashing Desperados. Now this is a Genesis exclusive, and I stumbled across this completely by accident back in the day, and it's region locked. It's an NTSC region lock game, so you've got to have a region lock converter or a Genesis to play it, which I had, which is how I stumbled across it at the time. But anyway, what I really liked about this, it's like it reminded me very much of a Neo Geo game. It's made by Data East. I'm not sure if it's an arcade, it could be, it's got that feel. And it's basically a platform running game where it's like split screen, and you've got to beat your opponent to the end of the level. And it's like a race across the platform level by jumping over various obstacles. But looks really nice, really well done. Like I say, I could have imagined it on the Neo Geo at the time, and that's how I felt about it when I first played it. It's just a great sort of platform. I wouldn't call it an action game, really. It's just a great fun arcadey platform racing style game, really. I mean, emulation obviously is the way to go. Right, my number 9 pick again is a Genesis exclusive, and we've got Championship ProAm. Now this is like an updated version of RC ProAm on the NES, which for my money is my most favourite game on the NES. And I didn't know about this at the time. I've only learned about this in more recent years. And when I found out it was on the Genesis, I thought, I've got to get that. And it's just like the NES version, only the graphics are a bit nicer, obviously. Again, you know, a cracking arcade. It's like remote control car racing, basically, on little tracks. You know, you've played various versions of it, like RC Grand Prix on the Master System, and you know, that kind of thing. But a cracking game. That again, unfortunately, is Genesis only, Championship ProAm. But I don't think that one's region locked. I'll have put some footage up, hopefully, of all these games, so you can have a quick look should you have not seen them before. Now this next one, which is my number 8 in my list. Loved this game back in the day. Spent hours and hours and hours on it. And that's Ayrton Senna's Super Monaco GP2. It was a phenomenal game when this came out. I absolutely played it to death. I was a massive fan of Super Monaco GP in the arcade. Desperately wanted to play it on the Megadrive. Unfortunately, the Megadrive version is nothing like the arcade version. However, it's a great game in its own right. But when they released the sequel, it really took it up a notch, because there was much more in-depth sort of a campaign mode and a championship mode where you could, you know, do like a full season and become the world champion. And you'd also got voice samples from Ayrton Senna, which at the time was spectacular to hear on the Mega Drive. I mean, honestly, this game, possibly one of my most played Mega Drive games back in the day. I absolutely loved it. Brilliant. So the nostalgia factor for that is amazing for me. Right, number 7. Again, loved this back in the day. Played it quite a bit and completed it back in the day. All-time classic, Golden Axe. These are all, I should have said, these are all Japanese versions obviously, but aside from those first two, they're all available in every region. But yeah, this Golden Axe, what a stunning game. Quite nice box art on the back of the Japanese one. But yeah, fantastic, obviously scrolling beat 'em up. Absolutely brilliant. Great conversion on the Mega Drive. Not much more to say really, it's just brilliant. You know, you've got a choice of 3 characters, you've got magic power-ups. It's just stunning. I mean, the 2 sequels don't come close to this for me. The original Golden Axe is a phenomenal game, and still is to this day, to be honest. It'd be great to have an updated version, wouldn't it, like Streets of Rage. Right, what's this? Number 6 on my list. Now, I was never a fan of shooting games up until very recently, and I've suddenly got the bug. However, there was one I always really liked on the Mega Drive, and that's Tatsuji, or Truxtun, it's known as in PAL and American territories. Always liked this game. I can't put my finger on why. It's just a stunning game, and an amazing conversion on the Mega Drive. Still looks fantastic to this day. Easily my favourite shooter on the Mega Drive. I mean, there are loads of shooters on the Mega Drive which I haven't experienced, you know. And I'm, you know, back to these being my favourite 10, you know, there's plenty of Mega Drive games I haven't played, but of the ones I have, this is what I'm talking about. But yeah, Truxtun is a fantastic game. Absolutely brilliant. If you like shooters, I'm sure you've played Truxtun. But it's a stunning game, and should be in everybody's library if you've got a vague interest in shooters. Number 5, we've got Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Again, what an amazing game on the Mega Drive. This one's quite special to me because it's the first import game I ever bought, and that took me down a different path for the rest of my life really regarding gaming, ever since I got this first on Japanese, just like this one. But regardless of that, it's a sensational game. Fantastic. Well, it's kind of a platform action, not really a run and gun, but it kind of is, I suppose. But anyway, it's a fantastic platform action game. Obviously if you're a Michael Jackson fan, it's even better because it's got all the great music within the game. Graphics are really nice. Obviously the arcade version looked quite a lot different. It was isometric and that looked amazing, and the Mega Drive obviously couldn't do that, so it went 2D. But regardless of that, even though it's not the same style game or the same looking game, it is the same style game, just set on a 2D plane. It is a fantastic game, and it still looks, plays and sounds fantastic. That's Moonwalker. Right, number 4 on my list, and one you might not be expecting to be number 4, but it's Outrun. Yes, you knew it had to be in there, didn't you? I've put it at number 4. Obviously it's my favourite game of all time, but I can't justify it being number 1 on the Mega Drive. I mean, don't get me wrong, at the time it was brilliant and I loved it, because, you know, prior to this I would have been playing the Master System version, which is quite poor in my opinion, and then prior to that I'd be playing the Spectrum version, you know. So although it's nowhere near as good as the arcade, you know, for its time it was still great to play, and by far the best way of playing Outrun for me at the time. It was the closest, you know, thing to experiencing the arcade at home. And it still plays a decent game of Outrun, to be honest. You know, it's well worth having. So, you know, although I couldn't justify it in, you know, the #1 spot, which is traditionally where it should be on any list of mine regarding favourite games, I'm sticking it at number 4. Right, number 3. This, at the time, was spectacular. Again, based on another amazing arcade game that I loved. And we've got Virtua Racing. Now, this was obviously quite expensive when this came out. I think it was 70 quid retail, which was a lot for a Megadrive game. You know, work that out in today's money, it's probably well over 100 quid for a game. Because it had the SVP chip built in within it, and the cartridge was twice the size of a normal cartridge. Because, I mean, realistically, the Megadrive shouldn't have been able to do Virtua Racing, should it really? But it's a cracking effort, honestly, and it still plays good. I mean, obviously it looks rough compared to the arcade and the latest 32X version, and obviously the more modern version on the Switch, which is amazing. But at the time, this was spectacular, considering it was running on the Megadrive. And it, like I say, it still is brilliant to this day. It still plays fantastic, and it still looks good for what it's running on. So that's why Virtua Racing is my number 3. Now, my number 2 slot, again, this was a game I played quite a lot of back in the day, and it looks stunning, and it still does in my opinion, and that's Aladdin. A fantastic 2D platform game, definitely the best platform game on the Megadrive for me. One of the best platform games ever made, I would say. I know you've got your people who say the SNES version's better, and maybe it is if you played that version first. Perhaps it was, I don't know. I do agree it's a good game. Definitely, it stands on its own 2 feet. SNES Aladdin is great, but I don't think it, you know, comes close to this. This looks far better. I think it works better with having the sword in it, which you haven't got in the SNES version. Just a stunning looking and playing game, and it's, you know, it's maintained that quality feel, you know, 30 years. When did this come out? I don't know. Anyway, 30 years or so later, Aladdin is still a spectacular platform game. You can obviously get it on modern compilations now on the PS4 and wherever, can't you? But the Mega Drive version is where it's at. So, what's number 1? The best game on the Mega Drive. Streets of Rage 2. Had to be. Now, regardless of what I've previously said about these just being my favourite 10 games, I think without doubt this is the best game on the Mega Drive. Full stop. No question of a doubt. It's spectacular. And I would also say it's the best scrolling beat 'em up ever made. For me, you might disagree, you know, you might prefer Final Fight or whatever. But for me, this is the best scrolling 2D beat 'em up ever made. It's absolutely stunning, looks amazing. I mean, the first one was good, but they really stepped it up with this one, made the sprites a lot bigger. It looked so good at the time. And the soundtrack is just, you know, it's just awesome, and it's still amazing to this day. You know, it's just never been beaten, and I don't think it ever will be. Even like the, you know, modern releases on new platforms, they don't come close to this for me. Streets of Rage 2, the greatest Mega Drive game of all time, and the greatest scrolling beat 'em up of all time. For me, anyway, at least. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon. Sayonara.